Hi, my name is Claire and today I'll be doing a short topic about how waiting on your property might cost you a little bit more. We're going to cover actual costs involved in owning a property. We're going to cover some opportunity costs and we're going to go through some case studies as well. This is kind of assuming that you have a tenancy running on your investment property. At the same time, your property is quite well priced and also in terms of transaction volumes, they are relatively healthy. Not too much to worry about, but we're going to break down a little bit on the cost here. So this is a case study of a one-bedroom condo. That means this person actually owns a one-bedroom condo that's 527 square feet, rented out at about $3,003 a month. He purchased the property at about $1 million. The current value is at $1 million today. Couple of reasons why this development is actually quite a big development. There are many one-bedroom units in that particular development. At this point of time, we also see that there are about 50 to 60 listings for one-bedrooms selling on the market. Therefore, we might see desperate sellers selling at values that are lower than what they bought it for. It's quite common for one bedrooms, especially when it's a bit more competitive, but the demand pool is slightly lesser, so that poses as a little bit of a risk at the same time. This is a single owner, 45 years old today, and bought this property 4 years ago at 41 years old. So this can be quite common. So we want to break down what is the actual cost of having a rental property in this case. So the owner bought it at about 1 million. The down payment is at 250,000. That is 25% of the purchase price. He has rented it out for about $3,003 a month and the yearly rental income is about 40k. When we look at the mortgage and all the different costs that comes in, I've also broken down into the interest amount, how much CPF you use assuming that you are employed. So in this case, yes, employed with CPF contributions, income tax on rental returns, property tax as well, and also the condo maintenance. So once I use this amount of rental and I deduct all the costs involved on a monthly basis, actually you're on a negative for about $500 a month. Let's say you do leverage on CPF usage for 2 years, you are actually on a negative of about 14k a month. So this might work for you if let's say you have some positive cash flow to work with. Your capital appreciation on the property is actually quite promising. So in this case, in terms of the value that you're looking at today, let's say you're holding on the property and you're thinking whether to reshuffle your funds elsewhere, if you see that actually the property is sitting on quite good value today, obviously the profits that you can get will definitely be able to cover the negative rental income in this case. So this is just a breakdown of right now at this point in time. We are looking at a one bedroom rented out at $3,003. This is the cost that we are looking at. We're going to talk a little bit about opportunity cost over here. So today, the owner is actually 45 years of age, earning about 10k a month. In this case, today when looking at the TDSR and the stress test that the bank has set, your maximum loan is actually 960k and your maximum purchase price is at 1.28. In this case, because of the age as well, the loan tenure also reduces. In this case, at a mortgage of today's interest rates, 75% loan, you will be paying about $4,600 in terms of the mortgage that you're looking at. So in this case, you may be renting out at about $4,300, but then it will not be able to cover your mortgage and also including the other costs involved. Let's say today the owner has decided that okay, I'm going to just hold on to the property with the rental income, be negative about 14,000 in the next 2 years. Think about upgrading maybe 2 years from now. 2 years later, let's say our income increases by 10%. So let's say his income increases by 10%. He is 47 years of age right now. His maximum loan would have increased a little bit, only by 20,000 though. His max purchase price is about the same at 1.3. In this case, because of his age, the loan tenure would then now be reduced more, making the mortgage a little bit higher. Some people may think that, okay, we want to be able to make a certain amount of money before we think about upgrading, or hit a certain amount of income level before I think about upgrading to a higher price property, for example. So today, I'm sitting at 1 mil property. I may want to upgrade to a 1.3 mil property, but you also realize that with a 10% income of your property in the next 2 years, for example, which is quite optimistic in today's standards, the mortgage increase is actually 12% more. So in this case, right, looking at the opportunity cost of holding on to the property for 2 years on likely a negative capital gain versus looking at current eligibility for loan, you might be not so better off in the next 2 years. So this is one opportunity cost to think about, especially when some people may not be aware of their loan eligibility. As you do get older, your loan tenure reduces. It's harder and harder, especially for single owners, to be able to thank the mortgage because of the loan tenure. Your mortgage increases and your income may not be able to catch up enough for the mortgage. Assuming we make the switch, right? So there is a table on the left over here that says we stay put. What's going to happen 2 years later and what's going to happen 10 years later. The next case scenario is that if we swap and then what's going to happen. I think this whole exercise kind of revolves around the whole idea of value and profit. So today we want to see profits generating on your property. Definitely everybody wants to see good profits generating on your property, but we're looking at this from a value point of view and how that translates to how much funds you can accumulate in the future that will feed into your retirement as well. So let me explain a little bit. So today, if let's say we stay put, today the value of property is 1 million. But 2 years later, the value of property may have gone up maybe 1.1 optimistically, but you are also paying off your loan, right? So before that, your loan was maybe like 700 plus. 2 years later, you have already paid off your loan and your outstanding remaining loan is at 680k. In this case, what we are seeing is that you have locked up about 420,000. So today, let's say if you do sell the property, you will have accumulated 420k in both cash and CPF, and that will eventually feed to your retirement as well. But if let's say we do stay put, we continue renting out the property for 3,000 to 3,300 depending on market conditions. You're a little bit on negative, but it's okay. We don't talk about the negative cash flow on the end. 10 years later, the value of property goes up by 200,000. Because you have taken the past 10 years to pay off the loan, your outstanding loan becomes about 500,000. In this case, the good thing is you do have locked up capital of about 680,000. If you sell 10 years later, you will have accumulated 680k. So right now what we are going to simulate, assuming we make the switch, looking at your loan eligibility, the cash that you have accumulated by selling your property, how much is it going to cost you to swap, and then we'll see what's the breakdown of this. So today, let's say we swap, right? The value of property today is $1 million. I sell it at $1 million. I upgrade to a 2-bed 1-bath or 2-bed 2-bath at $1.3 million. The outstanding loan remaining at that point of time, if I buy the property, would be 75% of the loan amount. I would have paid a down payment of 320,000. So I would have accumulated 325k in that case when I pay the down payment. 10 years later, we estimate a profit gain of about 300k. And the outstanding loan after paying off for 10 years is about 590,000. You would have locked up a capital of about 1 million. So in this case, we're laying a scenario if you stay put versus if you swap to a higher value property, what's going to happen? You're going to be able to lock up a bit more capital, and that might help you with your retirement. So if we put that into more numbers in that sense, right, we will have more funds locked in definitely. Between holding on to the 1 million property versus buying a 1.3 million property that will have grown to 1.6 million in the next 10 years, you would have been able to unlock about 330k more. And if you just translate that into looking at how much you need per month, when we talk about retirement, we talk about passive income, when we talk about dividends, growing stocks that you're building, you always think about a number that you need per month. So in this case, if let's say I don't buffer inflation, right, in the next 20 years, for example, if you need 5k a month to be able to survive and cover your expenses on a month-to-month basis, this switch will help you cover another 6 more years in that sense. So I know some of the viewers out there may not be holding on to a 1-bedroom property, maybe holding on to a 2-bedroom property. So I just want to lay out, for example, today, if let's say we stay put at the 1 million property, we would be able to cash out about 680,000, as mentioned just now, about 10 years later. For example, if you're thinking to retire in the next 10 years and you are 45 years of age today. Today I buy a property that is 1.3 million if I swap it out, and the property has appreciated to 1.6 million, which is more possible for a 2-bedroom generally speaking. I would have $1 million 10 years from now. If I buy a 1.8 million property, 10 years later, I sell it at $2.25 million, I would be able to cash out about 1.5 million 10 years from now. What can we learn from this? We want to understand that value is actually more important than profit, because you can make the profit that you want over here and over here as well. But generally speaking, you are taking the years that you have to be able to pay off the loan and not over leveraging at the same time, because your loan tenure is affected. Your loan tenure goes down, your mortgage goes up. So at the same time, with liabilities that you have, taking care of a child, taking care of elderly parents as well, all these expenses do add up at the same time. So understanding the current phase of life that you are at right now and making sure that you leverage but don't over leverage may help you be able to make switches like this and be able to lock in more cash and capital for your retirement in future as well. So what can we learn from this? One of the things that I just mentioned was about value and profit. So here on the last point is looking at the value of property that you hold that can directly translate to the amount of cash that you can cash out in future. The cash flow that you get from your rental property may not translate directly to profit. If you're sitting on a property that has very healthy capital gains, you can potentially continue to keep that, but there's also that time cost which I will talk about later. So today, if let's say I still get some positive cash flow from it, if I take the positive cash flow and I reinvest it to higher yield products, that might be able to help you cover the cost that I mentioned just now, which is a negative 500 for that one bedroom scenario. If let's say today I take the positive cash flow of $1,000, I go and put in the higher yield product, I may be able to earn and cover that loss, and that makes it okay. But at the same time, the age changes the math. So as you get older, your loan tenure shortens and your mortgage will go up. So in this case, if I just look at the example that I put up just now, was that if I make a 10% increase in my income, I still have a 12% higher mortgage if let's say I choose to swap my property 2 years from now. I think the age part is something that we should prepare as early as possible if that's possible. But at the same time, sitting on a smaller value property may not do you that great if let's say you're only betting on property to be able to help you fund your retirement as well. And then of course, with the age thing, time is a bigger constraint than your income today, because we also don't want to over leverage and make it such that more than 50% of your income goes to just paying the mortgage, right? And if you can do it as early as possible, that will help you in the long run as well. So I've come to the end of the video. I hope that this will give you a bit more clarity about how you think about swapping your property out, or if you are thinking really down to the numbers, how much have you paid off on your loan, what kind of property are you sitting on, is it going to give you enough capital gains to be able to cover all the costs? At the same time, based on your income today, what should you be doing? If you are curious to know a little bit more about your current situation, feel free to WhatsApp me directly. You can pause this video to scan the QR code and WhatsApp me directly, and I will see you in the next video.